Hey Japan friends, welcome to the channel again. It's me, your host Amy from Penventure, and today I'm together with Giuseppe Aquila, the CEO of Montegrappa, and we will have a brief, maybe not so brief talk regarding a few matters of company and Montegrappa as a brand in the luxury writing instrument industry. And join us and let's have a talk with Giuseppe right here. So we have Giuseppe Aquila, the CEO of Montegrappa, and I am so happy to finally meet him in person. And we are in the afternoon. We just finished the company tour. It is one of the biggest facilities that I've experienced, and I would like for Giuseppe to say a few words, introduce himself, and also tell us about the company and where we sit at this moment in regards of Montegrappa.
Well, I'm Giuseppe Aquila, as you rightly said, and I represent my family's third generation in the Montegrappa business. As you could see this morning, my daughter, who is already working for the company, is the fourth generation. So Montegrappa is Italy's oldest pen company. It was established here in the city of Bassano del Grappa back in 1912. It was started not by my family. My family joined this business a bit later in 1938. So in 1912, when the company was founded, the original founders were an Austrian lady, Edwige Hoffmann, and an Italian entrepreneur from the area, Alessandro Marzotto. So they purchased a building which was formerly a power plant and converted this building into the first Italian pen company. So the company started off manufacturing gold nibs because at that time, of course, there was no production of Italian pens and all the pens that were in use were basically imported from the United States. So there was a demand for nibs as spare parts for the American fountain pens. The Austrian lady was actually the one who had the know-how of making the nibs even before 1912. And it's only when she actually decided to join forces with Alessandro Marzotto that they established the first pen company, Italian pen company. Originally, the company was called Elmo, and Elmo was the Italianization of Helm, which was the name of the production manager of the company at that time. It was Heinrich Helm, Austrian as well. Then, war broke and Italian and Austrian weren't so good friends anymore. So this changed a little bit, the situation, and the Marzotto family took full control of the business. In 1938, so much later, my grandfather, Leopoldo Tullio Aquila, he came to Bassano. He was a young man. He had just got married with my grandmother. Who also came from a family who was active in the stationery business, whereas my grandfather was a chemist. He was making inks, actually, in fact. So papers, my grandmother; inks, my grandfather. So together they formed a company, and they decided that they wanted to venture into pens, as a way to complete, this two product and this marriage. So my grandfather came to Bassano from the south, from Napoli, and he asked Montegrappa to manufacture pens for him as a private label. So this is how the collaboration started, and then this led to a very successful collaboration that lasted for many decades. And later on, in 1981, my father then decided to take over Montegrappa when the Marzotto family didn't have heirs to continue the business. So that's when basically the company was acquired by my family. I joined later after my study, after my experience, and in 1992 I moved to Bassano and started to work for Montegrappa basically. And here I am after a number of years.
Considering what we've seen outside, you pretty much did a good job on everything. So we see expansion, growing, new facilities, very organized people, very organized production, and a very, very beautifully organized facility which is centered around producing writing instruments, and it is still unbelievable what we've seen today, and there is a lot to see, and probably the people that we are going to have on the channel will probably see the entire tour of the facility and will understand better this time. In my experience, this is probably one of the longest and more detailed tours that I've seen, or the people will see, of Montegrappa, and we are so grateful for you guys to welcome us and to facilitate this meeting and everything.
It's a great pleasure of having you both, you know. So you are also a very welcome ambassador for Montegrappa, not only Montegrappa, for all pen companies and pen brands. You know, I think the more people talk about pens, the better it is for everyone in the industry.
Yes, one of our main goals is to bring this phenomenon out there for everyone to see and to enjoy. And myself, although I'm Romanian, my heart is with Italian fountain pens, and this is the pen capital of Italy, and we are happy to be here. Another question that I wanted to ask you is, what is the current state in regards of the writing instrument industry, and what are your plans with Montegrappa for the future, and what stands in front of us?
Right. Well, I mean, you know, Montegrappa, I have to say, has not always paid really a lot of attention to what competitors are doing, to where the industry is going, because we've always had our own ways, our own ideas to follow, and probably I think this is one of the recipes for success, because we never wanted to conform to, you know, specific shape or color or material. I mean, we've always looked for new materials, for new technologies, for innovation. So this is something extremely important. I believe that the moment you stop researching, the moment you stop looking at what's new, you know, happens around you, then you're dead, you're finished. So this is extremely important, and for Montegrappa, research and development is one of the areas where we invest most resources, and I mean, in terms of people, also in terms of money, always looking for new technologies, always looking for new materials, always looking for new opportunities in all possible directions. So again, I don't know where the pen industry is leading, but I can tell you that we have a clear view on what we want to achieve in the future, and certainly, even though Montegrappa has also ventured into other product categories, the pen is always the king to us. So represent our core business and will always be our core business. Also, one of our missions is also to educate, if possible, new people, to get closer to pens and to writing. Because today, as we all know, I mean, not everybody writes, or at least not on a regular basis. So we want to be really a strong advocate of writing, and we try to promote writing every single day in every single activity that we do, through our products, but through a number of other activities, sponsorships, events, which are all around, you know, the world of writing. So this is basically what we do. I'm a strong believer that writing plays a very important role in education, in our daily life, is a stress reliever. I mean, it's such so many positive sides to writing that we can just neglect it. I mean, we don't have to neglect it in any possible ways.
A huge part of the legacy of Montegrappa sits behind us this wall of famous people that own or have something to do with the writing instrument made by Montegrappa, and I personally didn't knew so many people that at least think of a fountain pen, and to mention that fountain pen is a Montegrappa, so it means a lot to me. Another question that, or at least a suggestion from what I've seen today in the factory, I am seeing a very interesting part of your direction towards the future with the Bespoke line, and I've enjoyed and seen the process of designing a fountain pen. Maybe this process is not that known for everyone or for someone who's watching us. Maybe you want to tell our viewers how this process works and what can they expect from such a bespoke creation.
Right. You know, Montegrappa has been a pioneer in writing instrument industry. We were the first ones and among the first ones to introduce limited edition as a concept back in the 80s and then following in the 90s. We created, let's say, also a niche in the market of our own. So we have many people around the world who are Montegrappa collectors. Maybe they're not necessarily pen collectors, but they collect our pens. So when you have such a sophisticated, let's say, also client base, you understand that these people are always looking for something extra. Okay, so when back in the 90s the limited edition were extremely hot and everybody was really fighting in order to acquire some of the limited editions, today people want something even more exclusive, so they want something which is made uniquely for them. So we thought to offer two different services within the company. One is the bespoke service, which is from our atelier, and another one is our custom pen service, so through the configurator, which is online. So we have these two possibilities. So the configurator maybe is for more modern people who are more used to technologies, so computer, or tablet, and they can, through this technology, actually design their own pen. And at this point in time, we have 3 different pen models available on our configurator. And by the next, let's say, 6 months, we will have 2 more models. So in fact, all our open editions, what we call our open editions or iconic models, will all be configurable. Okay? And this is amazing because it really gives the freedom to the user to create a pen which is unique, in the color they want, the material they want, also based on the budget, that they may have. The bespoke service is, let's say, even a step higher than this. Basically, we're offering different models that can be customized with images, which can be a picture of somebody, of a family, of...
We've seen that.
Right. And this could be engraved by hand or can be hand painted on the pen. This is also something which is working extremely well, and it's a service which is unique to Montegrappa.
I am very aware of this fact because we just finished the tour and we've seen the artisans working on hand-painted pieces that simply never occurred to me as being a theme for a fountain pen, just to send in a picture of yourself or with someone that you love and to put it and to make a token of remembering that moment or that picture in a functional writing instrument, which completely stunned me seeing that. It is good to know that there are so many choices and we've just finished a talk and you told me that there are some pretty wild choices for material, and that's the beauty of it, being so free to choose whatever you like as a color, as a material, to match them and to match it with your personality or your needs. So it is wonderful, and expect from me at least something to do with this bespoke line in the future. I'm looking to make a pen, something that can be with colors from our national flag, or maybe something with my family, and to just have a token of remembering this moment, and it is very nice. Let's see, another question that ran multiple times through my head was that you guys seems to have a facility that is so put it to very good parameters in regards of production and everything. How do you guys manage to produce so many models, and not different ones, but we are talking different materials, different shapes, so each and every single model. For myself, I only know like 3 or 4 models, the 1930 Extra, the latest ones that you showed me, and I know them, I can identify them. But for each and every single limited edition high-end pen, you go completely the other end and spectrum of shapes and materials. How do you guys can produce so many different things?
Well, first of all, I think the most important ingredient is passion, because without passion, with passione, we say it in Italian, there's basically nothing, you don't go anywhere. So passion is the first ingredient, and I can say that we have here in this facility like 60 people work here in this building, and they're all passionate. So these are people that they're not here by chance. These are people that decided to be here, to choose a certain path of career because they love writing, they love pens, they are art-oriented or jewelry-oriented. As I mentioned in our casual conversation earlier today, Bassano is located in the province of Vicenza. Vicenza is one of the capitals in Italy for the production of gold and silver products. So here you have a lot of companies manufacturing jewelry, and therefore we have people who have this type of skills, of making jewelry. It's again not a chance that Montegrappa is the jeweler of the pen brands, because of course we had access to this kind of people with certain skills. Then we have nurtured ourselves certain skills. I mean, as you have seen in our atelier, we have people who have the ability of engrave by hand, people have the ability of painting by hand. We have stone setters, we have enamelers. So we have all sorts of know-how, which anyway was developed over a big number of years. So next year we will celebrate our 110th anniversary.
I hope I'm invited.
Of course, and so basically, again, it's a know-how that you cannot achieve just overnight. It's something that takes time. It takes a lot of efforts, sacrifices, mistakes as well, because you learn mostly from mistakes. Good investment, bad investments, in people, in machine, in technologies, in different things. So it's just part of the history. So Montegrappa survived 2 world wars and the pandemic, so we have strong shoulders. We know that we can continue for more generations, hopefully. One also the strong assets of Montegrappa, mentioning the 2 world wars, is that Montegrappa is one of the few companies in Italy, industrial companies at that times, that never interrupted the production of its core product. So Montegrappa continued making pens even during the First and the Second World War, whereas other companies, they were transformed into making bullets, weapons, or
helping out
with the war. So, and the reason why Montegrappa continued making pens is because pens were needed by the soldier, by the army, to write home, to communicate. So they were the equivalent of today mobile phone or digital device. So we're very proud for that. So always and without any interruption throughout the history, throughout the 110 years, Montegrappa has always been making pens.
One of the most interesting things that I've seen here in the factory was the place where you store your celluloid, and I know that for you and for many others, celluloid is a very hot topic these days in the fountain industry and throughout the whole hobby and the community. And for the first time, to the best of my knowledge, this is where people can see how little of this material is left. I mean, for a company that has such production capacity that you can run that material like in a month or two and it's done. So I was very pleased to see it and to show it off to everyone who's watching. But tell us more about your latest approach in designing that super pretty and interesting resin that we've seen, and I think it looks very nice considering that we can make it in any color. I think it's a big step further. Share us more info.
Definitely. I mean, it's unfortunate that celluloid is no longer manufactured, as you said. And this is due to a number of reasons. I mean, the pen industry is not such a big industry after all, you know. Yes. So the application of celluloid is in pens, was formerly in eyewear, but then it was stopped, you know. And I think there is use like for the decoration of the guitar, you know, like the plaque of the guitar. Yeah. So other than that, there is no other application. This does not justify an industrial production, which is very complex, and also. Manufacturing celluloid is very difficult, it's very complicated, it's very risky because celluloid is highly inflammable and explosive. So this is even during the processing of the material, let alone during the manufacturing of the material. So it is too much risk to justify continuation of production of this material. So it's been ceased. I mean, there's no more manufacturing of celluloid, and Montegrappa has perhaps the largest celluloid stock left in the market, which we keep using, which we keep, we try to keep it quite rare and use as little as possible. We don't push too much, but celluloid is in demand, is in great demand, and there's never been in greater demand than today. I remember back in the 1990s, you know, actually we were struggling to let people understand what celluloid was and why a celluloid pen was more expensive than just a plastic pen or a resin pen. So today instead there is more knowledge about the material, now that the material is no longer available, but that's life, you know, as we say. So we started to think about alternative materials to celluloid already like 3-4 years ago, and together with a local craftsman, we have actually created a proprietary formula for a new type of resin, which we baptize as Montegrappite or Montegrappite, if you want to say it the American way. So Montegrappite is a resin that has a lot of benefits. Benefits in terms of aesthetic appearance, because we can blend as many colors as we want and create very interesting textures. And also one interesting aspect about the Montegrappite is that depending on the size of the pen, on the diameter of the pen that you create from the same rods, you can have different aesthetical effect. So for example, if we make a zero pen, which is one of our slimmer pens in our collection, the pattern will be just like lines, parallel lines. If you make a larger pen, the texture would be much broader and more organic. So it's quite interesting. A very important advantage of Montegrappite is that it can be recycled in full. So basically all the scraps of production or the offcuts of production, we can collect them and then we can reuse and remelt. In fact, one of the projects that we have in mind for the future is actually to create special colors just for recycling. So basically, every 6 months we have all the waste of the material, and then we put it together, we remelt it, and we see that a random color will be generated, and that random color could be just a limited release on a specific product, you know, which will be just recycling all the waste of production. So this is very important. Montegrappa is very attentive to sustainability. As a matter of fact, I mean, during the pandemic, we realized that we wanted to gain total independence from the outside world, in the sense that we strongly believe in what we call a kilometer zero policy, so that everything we do must be made here in this building, and this to avoid, you know, transportations and pollution, but very importantly, so that we are independent from the outside world. We've seen during the pandemic that it was very difficult to acquire certain material or supply from you know, other manufacturers, and this creating big problems. So in the pandemic has taught us many lessons, and one of them is really to be able to manufacture everything fully in-house.
I believe it was a very meaningful lesson for everyone, and I think it is good that even from disasters like this, there is still a lesson to be learned, and we can go further with the lesson learned and be more better at each step of the way. So we've seen outside that you guys still got busy during the pandemic and renovated the outside of the building, and it's nearly complete, and I really think a large part of going further, like you said in a few previous conversations, was the fact that you guys are planning to open the factory for small private tours. And I don't know if someone who's watching us is interested, but after seeing this, I really think it's best to go and book a trip, and if it's something like this is available, I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to see that if you hold a writing instrument in your hand like this, you can better understand what goes in only if you come here and see it yourself. So maybe if it's not to be shared on a policy, not to be shared with the public, maybe you can say a few words regarding this process and what you guys are planning regarding this.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you said, most people, they don't have a clue on how a pen is made. At times, I mean, we often get remarks saying, why is this pen so expensive? Why a pen costs 1,000 euro, or let alone, you know, we have pens that cost 100,000 euros, so you can
I get this a lot from many people.
So you can imagine. So because they don't understand what's behind the curtain, no? So I think if they are able to visit our facility, they can understand the work that is behind, you know, from the creativity part through the engineering of the process, you know, all the research and development that there is behind, then the manufacturing as well. So, and as I mentioned to you earlier, whatever product we release in the market, I mean, there is a lot of research, then there is a prototyping, then there is a pre-series, and then there is a production. So even for a small limited edition, which is 100 pieces, I mean, there's a work that goes on for maybe a couple of years of development before that. So of course, this also has a cost. And as I mentioned earlier, all Montegrappa products are made, and all the components are made here in Bassano, so we don't use suppliers in Asia or any other parts of the world. And of course, this has a cost. And as I said, here we have like about 60 people, and these people live on pens. So it is important that people understand really how a pen is made to appreciate the value. The value in the craftsmanship and also in the material, because all the materials that we use as well are always the very best material in terms of quality. You mentioned celluloid, but all our feeders are ebonite. which are made in-house. Most of our pens have sterling silver trims. I mean, we have some of the materials that are available in our configurator. You have exotic woods, you have mammoth ivory, you have all sorts of incredible material, a high-tech material like titanium. We have cobalt, we have carbon fiber of different kinds. And over the years we have used so many materials you cannot even imagine. Also because Montegrappa has been active also in what we call the private label sector. So we make pens for many other brands as well. So all the luxurious pens, many of the luxury pens that you see around from world-class brands are also made here. Of course, there's a secret, there's a confidentiality. But this is also very helpful because it's like, Bespoke and private label for us is like Formula One is to Ferrari, is where we do all the experiments, where we come close to, also designer from other companies, and we can share views, opinions, we can test different material that have never been used on pens, and then we can finally bring on our product. So this is part of the business which is for us not important financially, but is important in terms of research and development.
It is very, very interesting to see that you are capable of taking pretty much any shape and to make it into a pen. And we've seen in the company museum a few pieces that are some of my favorite ones that I've still didn't had a chance to collect. And it's good that those pieces are behind glass, because knowing me as a collector, I would reach out for them. And for example, one of my favorite pans and wild pans, it's Salvador Dali. Meaningful artist for myself, and also what you guys created with that pan. It is hardly can be named a pan, but it's interesting. You mentioned pretty much very, very wild materials for pans. One of my favorite pans that I have not collected yet is the 1930 River Wood. That is pretty much to take material that's set for many thousands of years in the riverbed and to make it into a pen. That's, only a collector like myself would understand what is to own such a pen. I don't know, we don't seem to have a certain move or logic with the questions, but it was also, when I'm sitting with someone as important as yourself, one question seems to really pop in my head. Which is your first memory with a writing instrument?
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't know how important I am, but okay, I try at least to be meaningful in the world of writing. Okay, this is maybe what I'm aspiring to achieve. What is my favorite model? It's very difficult for me to tell because I'm involved in actually the creation of the pen. So most of the design that you see were basically conceived from my mind. So that means that each pen is like a brainchild for me. And it's difficult to tell, which is your favorite son? Is this one or this or that? I mean, it's like they're all your children. But some of them can be more meaningful than others, because maybe they're linked to stories or to things that happened around that pen. So one very important design for me was the dragon, made in 1995. So this was not my first creation, but one of the first pen that I actually saw to all the different stages of development, because the production of the dragon is the result of many efforts that we took at that time. So we talked about celluloid, but the production of celluloid was interrupted for a number of decades in Montegrappa, because in the late 40s the factory actually burned down, and this was due to the celluloid stock. And so the management at that time decided we don't want to touch celluloid anymore, forget it, this is not for us. So this was stopped. So we brought it back many years later, so in 1995 with the Dragon. Of course, this is when we launched the pen, but it took us about 3 years to build the know-how of celluloid again. Celluloid is a very complex material to work, and it's very unstable. It deforms and warps and shrinks, so if it's not handled properly. So we had to go through the learning curve, you know,
yes,
of handling the material, and we did it between 1992 and 1995. Eventually we launched Dragon, which was the first pen using Montegrappa after a long number of years, and also the first jewelry pen, because we had the overlays, you know, with the dragon shape, and this was unique. I mean, there's no other pen that was ever made like that. So it was an innovation for the industry. And I remember we introduced this at the Paper World in Frankfurt in 1995, and on the occasion of that show, I remember that all the big bosses of the different companies, from Montblanc, from Faber-Castell, they came to our booth congratulating us on this incredible pen. So this was the talk of the show, it was the talk of the industry, and actually I think this is what launched Montegrappa also internationally. Because Montegrappa, till me joining the company in 1992, was mostly distributed in the Italian market and not abroad. So it was me who actually started the export business, and then decided to concentrate more and more on the luxury end of the business. The word luxury, we use it every day today, but at that time it was not really...
It was very mean. It has a very weighty sound to it, luxury back then,
yes,
right now.
That's right.
Yes, the word for everything.
Too much. Yes. So at that time it was not used at all, and we were among the first pen company to actually venture in that segment of the market. I remember when we introduced the Dragon was priced at 3,900,000 lira. So we still had the Italian lira. That is the equivalent of 2,000 euro today, but we're talking about 1995. Okay?
Inflation is pretty much
okay.
a lot more expensive.
But the most expensive Montblanc ever made was half the price. So when we launched the Dragon, I remember we had all our dealers from Italy and from other countries. Well, what do you have in mind? I mean, this is beautiful, but who's going to buy this pen? You know, it was way beyond the budget anyone could possibly spend for a pen. And this is the silver version. We made the gold version, was 18 million lira at the time, so it's 9,000 euro. A pen that today would retail at 50,000, you know, if it was made today. So, and this was super success. In 4 weeks we sold out 1,912 silver pens and 100 gold pens. And it was really an incredible success. And this is what actually projected Montegrappa, let's say, in the world of luxury pens. And we were probably, with Montblanc, occupying a special spot in that area.
Us, Pen Venture, as a small business, in almost 3 years of running our business, we learned that each and every single sale and customer helps you and supports you to get to the next one and to the next one. So I really think this pen that you were talking about paved the way for many other models more and more, and branched it out into high-end luxury production. I'm a big fan of some of the high-end font pens that you guys have, and I am very eagerly awaiting on a few of them that we're still not allowed to say what's going to come next, but let's just say that I can't wait to get my hands on them and to experience them. Another question that I wanted to ask you is, from your end, how do you look at our partnership and ourselves, considering a few of the things that we discussed in our approach in bringing new people to the hobby. I think your perspective on this end should be highly appreciated, at least for ourselves, and also maybe you have an advice for us looking forward into the future, and I don't know, feel free to
You know that I'm a big fan of yours, and we have supported, if we may say, you from the very beginning. We've seen, of course, also a growth in what you do, and you've always done it with professionalism, but now you're doing also with sophisticated technology. You have a beautiful new office. You are investing a lot in a small industry, which anyway, in my opinion, has still a great potential to grow. So I agree with you that we need to bring the word out more and more, to be the ambassador for pens on a global basis. So you are also able to bring, I mean, the pens outside of your own market. I mean, you're looking at international market. You're talking to an international audience with different, tastes, with different types of culture. But that they have one thing in common. They have the appreciation for pens, for writing, and for beauty. So all I can say is just keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure that you have a great success ahead of you.
Seems like previously, in a few minutes ago, I've asked you what is your first memory with a fountain pen, and you told me one of your most important pens that projected you in the future. From other interviews that you've done with other colleagues of mine in our world, I know that you are a user of 1930 Extra.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, this is the pen that started everything for myself as well, this Montegrappa 1930 Extra Rosso. And after getting to know this pen and to use it for the first time, I still remember that I found your email someplace on your website, and I wrote down an email to you, never expecting you to answer me. So I was very pleased to see that after doing a video, you responded to my email, and this is how we started to have a talk and to one day maybe collaborate in a retail environment. And our relationship with Montegrappa always has been top-notch, and we are so happy to be here today and to have this very big privilege of seeing this new things that you put together, the factory, the people, the passion here. And I am completely sold on Montegrappa. Possibly in the following months or maybe next year we will book a trip with the family, and we need to spend a few days here, and even I need to bring some of my friends from Romania to see this beautiful place up here in the mountains. And I really think that you have a gold mine here.
Thank you.
Historically speaking, and you guys seems to found a formula to make it a huge success worldwide. I know you have many partners out there in the US, in all countries, and I know you have famous celebrities that are part of the company. Maybe a few words regarding that, because I've seen only one time that you mentioned this with someone else in a conversation, and I knew this, but maybe for the people that are not such avid searchers online, maybe you can fill up this blank space for them.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Montegrappa, we said before, is almost 110 years, and it has gone through different periods, different ownerships, and there was also a time during my family's ownership that we decided, we were actually tempted to sell the business to Richemont Group, which is basically the owners of Mont Blanc. You don't know this story?
No.
So in 2000 we sold Montegrappa to Richemont, and then we bought it back in 2009. Okay, so there's been a number of years in which Montegrappa was run basically first by Cartier and then after by Mont Blanc. So then when we took it back, we have basically changed a lot of things, many things since then. But when we bought the company back, it was my father and I who, from my family, decided to buy the business back. And we were looking also for an external investor, you know, to help us in this venture again. And so we thought, we don't need just financial investor, which is easy to find, but we need to find somebody special that can also bring added value to the company and to the brand. And so we contacted some of our long-time collectors, famous people, and one of them was Sylvester Stallone. So we contacted him and we said, would you like to be involved, you know, in the new Montegrappa, and he loved the idea and he accepted right away, and so he became an investor in Montegrappa. And with him also a year later we developed a project together, which is the Chaos Pen, that was designed by Sylvester Stallone and manufactured by Montegrappa and distributed globally. And this was a huge success. It was very unusual in terms of design. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but nevertheless, this was an incredible success. It was a sellout.
At the end of the day, I think that the only fact that it's a sold-out edition says it all.
Yeah.
I mean, there were at least that number of people that loved it so much that went forward. We actually filmed the corner into the pen museum with the pen, and I think it looks very nice, and it's a statement. It's a bold statement. It is not for everyone, and it should not be for everyone.
But I've said this many times, that Montegrappa is not necessarily for everyone. I mean, some of our limited edition, actually a good number of our limited edition, they generate this love or hate feeling. You know, we have a lot of people who love us, but we have a lot of haters as well. And I normally judge the success of a product at the beginning, or can foresee the success of a product when I see that there is many people who hate the product. Because I'm sure that on the contrary, there is a lot of people who are going to love it. When you get a lukewarm reaction to a product, like everybody, yes, I like it, it's okay, doesn't mean it's going to be a success, especially when it is for a niche product. So it's kind of strange or funny what I'm saying, but statistically this is what I have noticed myself.
This is a point that I need to write down in my notebook, so that's a very important, valuable lesson to be learned. And when you talk about high-end, very exclusive editions, it doesn't need to be on everyone's taste. It just needs to be on a few people's taste. And even I experienced this myself with some of your creations from Montegrappa. Seeing them in pictures, I was like, I would say no. But anyway, whenever I had the chance to meet them in person and to hold them in my hands, they instantly became some of my favorite pens. And this is the chance, and this is exactly with Bartolomeo Ferracina. You see a pen, you see a watch, put them together, anything like this. The first time that I've seen that pen, I wasn't sold out on it, but I actually had it for a year and I've enjoyed it quite a lot. And since then, I haven't found any single pen that comes close to that pen in regards of size, weight, looks, functionality, and wow factor, because every single time that I was out there and I took that pen with me, every single person that's seen that pen made a question: what is that? What is it doing? How does a watch fit on a pen? And it was a conversation starter, and for me that was everything. So I'm a huge fan of this approach of you guys doing very strange things that end up being a real success, and for so many people that are going to enjoy them. Giuseppe, I think we should stop right here because there is a lot of different questions that probably I want to end up visiting one more time. So I want to leave some questions for the next
For
time
the next occasion, yeah, for sure. Look forward to that.
I would like to tell to everyone who is watching us that you can visit the Montegrappa website. Probably in the description of this video we will have some information, the website, the social media accounts of Montegrappa. So if you guys enjoyed our tour, our interview, the things we discussed, down below you will find the links for the social media accounts and the website. If you are sold out on the idea of owning a bespoke Montegrappa creation, down below you can access the configurator and you can pretty much take a part of your personality, infuse it in a pan from Montegrappa. You've seen how they are made and you can order it, and why not mark this moment with such a writing instrument. Giuseppe, if you have some final words for everyone.
No, thank you. I wish to thank you for your visit. It was such a pleasure, a great honor for all of us.
Myself as well.
So we look forward to the next occasion of being together.
Thank you very much for everything. And I don't know, down below you will find all the details. If you're not subscribed yet to the Pen Venture YouTube channel, you can subscribe right now. And if you want to watch more quality content, probably you'll find to the left of my right another video of ours. My name is Amy, I'm with Giuseppe, and we wish you a great day. Thank you and bye bye.
Ciao a tutti.